Yo, what's up, people of YouTube? So today, we're going to take a look at a clone review, a clone mechanical semi-mech squonk mod, and it's going to be the YFTK clone of the very popular SVA.0 Punto Zero squonk mod. And also I'm going to review another YFTK clone, atomizer, the Soul S, right? So I'm going to review it as a set because it goes really well together, and you'll see exactly what I mean in the close-ups. This is not a beginner's device, so I do give you a warning. It's not a beginner's device, although it's safer, much safer than a hybrid mechanical mod. It's still sort of a mechanical mod, semi-mechanical, whatever you want to call it, but it's not a beginner's device, right? So good to see, but if you want to get it, do make sure that you read up a little bit on the Ohm's law and battery safety and other stuff, etc, etc, etc. But first, let's take a look. Alright guys, so here is the YFTK SVA Punto Zero mod clone, and also the YFTK Soul S RDA clone, Soul S style RDA. And the reason I'm reviewing this as a set is because although I purchased them separately, as you can see, different packaging, today it's actually available as a complete so-called set or kit from YFTK. YFTK, I may say YTFK, I always get confused, but it's actually YFTK, alright? So first off, the SVA Punto Zero, I hope I'm saying that right, mod clone. This is the packaging that it comes in. They're really going for trying to mimic the authentic packaging as well, and I don't see a lot of clone companies doing that now. They've moved on to generic packaging like this one. So anyway, this one, it really tries to copy the packaging as well. There's some things I really don't like about that. I'll show you in a while. But the box is pretty banged up, as you can see, because it's a thin cardboard box, and this is what you should expect when the package is on the way to you. You open it up and you get underneath the Punto Zero style mod by YTFK, available in black and also white carbon fiber door right there. It says SVA.0. Oh, you can't really see that. Let me try again. Yeah, right there. It says SVA.0 engraved. A style or a clone of the super soft bottle as well. And the reason they provide you with this bottle, not the other silicone type of bottle, I'll tell you in a while. But also in this box is this business card by SVA mod, and this is the part that I makes me feel very uneasy, and I don't like this at all, because of course you cloned someone's product, but you also put a clone of their business card inside. They should have just left this out, because at the back you have the name of the modder and his contact email address. I find that very offensive. So I have blackened it out. I have erased it. I don't want to spread the email address around for something that the modder himself didn't actually create. I think leave this out, please. You know, it serves no purpose. As a closer look at the YFTK Punto Zero, it is a mechanical mod, but it has a so-called MOSFET switch. A MOSFET switch is a very basic switch that actually has a tactile button. You can hear the sound. And if you pop the door out, you will see that instead of a mechanical switch where you usually have a thin piece of metal, an L-shaped metal, as I've shown you with other squonk mechanical mods. And the thing with those type of mechanical squonk mods is that you have a huge button and you have to press the button really hard to make a contact with the 510 area. In this case, the so-called MOSFET switch. This is actually a very basic switch inside here, inside this part here. And so all the wiring is done, and the switch controls the actual contact or the current to your battery. Pros and cons with that. Some people find that a MOSFET switch actually makes the mechanical mod hit not as hard as a pure mechanical type of setup, and others have no issue with that. But it also reduces the amount of maintenance you need to do for a mechanical mod. You don't have to take out your metal piece and sandpaper or clean up your contacts. You're pretty good to go with the MOSFET switch, and of course very easy to press. The 510, as you can see here, is a manual adjusted 510, as I showed you before with my previous review of another SVA Penguin clone, also by YTFK. So you have to turn it counterclockwise or clockwise until it makes contact with the 510 of your RDA. Pros and cons: number one, it's going to make a very solid, secure contact with your RDA. The con is, of course, with every single RDA you put on here, you have to adjust it until it makes contact, or sometimes the pin is too high and you'll have to adjust it down to get your RDA to sit flush. You have indication here, positive and negative, and you have some wiring here, and all over this mod you can see traces of, well, glue, right here you can see glue as well, transparent glue, but definitely lots and lots of glue everywhere. So that's really a bit messy on this particular clone, but not too messy. You know, you can live with it. If you accept it as a clone, you can live with it. The build quality itself is Delrin. You do see some lines on the Delrin, so the finishing is not as good, of course, as an authentic SVA mod, but pretty decent. The super soft clone squonk bottle also works pretty well. The reason they didn't provide you with a different type of silicone bottle is that there's just no space in here, right? So let me show you how that works. You just put your bottle in, squeeze it up like that, and you're good to go. The tube was already cut to the exact size that you see here, so you no longer need to cut anything, right? And you just have to push it down a little bit until it rests at the bottom here. You almost cannot get your battery in unless you put it level like this and press both sides at the same time, and then you push it in, right? So once you push it in, you can see there's virtually no room at all for any other kind of squonk bottle, and also the area for the MOSFET switch right here, you know, it kind of prevents you from having a larger or taller squonk bottle in here. And now let's take a look at the YFTK Soul S style RDA. As I said, I purchased them separately, right? So if you're looking for just the Soul S style RDA, that's going to cost you about $22, $23, right? Check the link in the description box below. And if you want to buy it as a kit with the Mac mod, it's going to cost you about $58, right? The black and the white versions are about $1 apart. It's going to cost you about $58. And today you can also find some accessories like an Ultim top cap, etc. for the clone. That one actually costs you about $8. So very generic packaging. Inside you will find two Allen wrenches. One is for your post, and the other is for the 510 pin. Included or already pre-configured is the squonk pin, but here you also have a standard 510 pin, three grub screws and two O-rings. Here's a standard 510 pin, right? At first glance, it may look like another squonking pin if you look at it from the side, but it's not hollow in the middle. And then you have the Soul S style RDA itself. If you love the kind of vape that you get from, let's say, your Hadaly RDA, then you're going to love this one, because the concept is pretty similar to the Hadaly, and also the vape that you get is pretty similar. The type of builds that you can put is pretty similar. The main difference here is the build deck itself, right? So it does come with this drip tip right here, a white Delrin 510 drip tip with a single O-ring, and at the bottom you have the Soul logo and a squonk pin. Pop the top cap out and you can see how simple it is, right? You have adjustable airflow holes on both sides, and that's about it. One solid metal stainless steel top cap, and here is the build deck itself. So you have 6 screws on your build deck, and it really different from the Hadaly, of course, but you can put pretty much similar builds in here, and it screws from the top. So it really depends. If you want to do a large single coil, you can do a large single coil build. You can even do a dual coil build in here for round wire or Klempner wire. How I've used it is I've always done a single larger 3mm diameter coil, which I will show you in a while. And then your air, similar to the Hadaly, will travel from the sides all the way inside as close as possible to your coil, hitting your coils as close as possible. And when you build on it, actually your coil will be slightly above the airflow, which I'll show you in a while. So consider it as some sort of like bottom airflow, because the air actually goes right here and hits the coil from the bottom. It's a very short, low profile RDA, as you can see here. So it can tend to get warm on you, not too hot. From my previous experience using this, not too hot. Again, really depends on the kind of build that you put in here, but keep in mind it's a complete stainless steel top cap. And the machining on this is pretty good. You see your peak insulator right here, so this is your positive post and your squonk pin, and here you have some place for your cotton. Let me compare it with an authentic Soul S that I actually purchased, or someone. This Soul S RDA is going to be discontinued, so I think they're gonna sell one last batch through the group, and that's it. So if you want to get the authentic from then onwards, I guess you'll have to get it from someone else selling on a Facebook group or Flipper, if you want to call them that. In terms of the machining quality, I would definitely say the authentic is slightly better machined, and the peak insulator also appears to be slightly larger in the authentic, as you can see. And for the authentic, at the bottom you will have the Soul logo and your serial number. So this is the kind of build that I have in the authentic right now. Use it on a Mac mod, works pretty well. Overall, the authentic Soul RDA is one of the best RDAs I had. Is one of the best RDAs I have, probably even better than the Hadaly. Comparison of the top cap for the authentic to the clone as well, pretty close. So the way to build on this is you actually have to remove the screws, right? Let me give you a close-up on that. There's no other way. You cannot just slide your coils underneath, so you have to remove your screws. Now if you're going to put a larger coil in here, you probably have to remove screws from one screw from either side like this. And I don't quite like RDAs where I have to remove the screw completely, because I tend to lose the screws. And then you got to get your coil and your coiling jig. Now when you place the coiling jig flat on both sides, that will give you actually the perfect height for your coil itself. You can push the coil lower, but then you'll have some trouble trying to wick it, right? So you'd want your leads to come out like that, and it's easier if you actually bend this in shape first, right? Much easier that way. And then just place your coil inside. Okay, get one of the screws and position the screw back. Make sure that you get the threadings correct. Okay, and when the threading is correct, it just goes in pretty easily. And the other side as well. Push your coil down, right? So like I said, when your coiling jig is flat like this, it should give you a very good height, at least how I like to use it, for your coils on the Soul, authentic Soul, and also on this YFTK Soul style RDA. You don't want to actually do the build on the Mac mod itself, because you want to do it on a regulated mod, so that you'll know if there's any issues with your coil. Before you stick it onto your Mac mod, you have to make sure that it doesn't have any shorts, any other issues. Looking good. Put some organic cotton through. Trim your cotton. Now if you're going to use it as a squonk RDA, you don't really need that much of cotton. You just need to make sure that the cotton can touch the base. And then just tuck your cotton in. Alright, now to fill up the squonk bottle. So the thing is, as I said before, the battery is in here pretty tight, right? Pretty tight. Normally when I do this, the battery would just pop out. In this case, I have to do that, and I have to still take my battery out manually. If it's too difficult for you to do, just pop the bottle out first, right? And then that gives you a lot of room to actually grab your battery and pull it out. Fill up the squonk bottle. Right, when you first get this, you want to make sure that you squeeze the bottle a little bit just to soften the bottle up, and also squeeze your tube a little bit, pull it out, pull it back in, right? Things like that. Just put this back. So I've had no issues with this bottle, but if you find that it doesn't squonk very well, you have to look at the sides here. If whenever you squonk, you see bubbles, air bubbles escaping out of the side, means it doesn't make a perfect seal, so you have to put an O-ring at the base here to improve the seal, right? Now I'm going to push the tube back in a little bit, so it was cut to the perfect length. I think it does reach all the way to the bottom. Now just put your tube in, right? Put the bottle in place. I've had no leaks from the 510 area so far. That's always good. Now put your battery back, positive on top, and put the Soul SRDA back on here. Squonk. One thing about the Soul SRDA, it is pretty easy to over squonk, similar to the Hadaly, because the airflow is in pretty much the same location. So if you over squonk on the Hadaly a lot, very often, you're probably going to over squonk on this one as well. Alright, everything is working just nice. Now, the clone, the Soul S clone is very exact in terms of the dimensions, the diameter, etc. This is an authentic accessory, a top cap for the authentic, right? And you can see it fits in perfectly. It fits in perfectly. So you do have an Ultim cap, I believe, that is available for the Soul S style by YFTK. Check the link in the description box below for the mod, the SVA mod, Punto Zero mod, and also the Soul S style, and also the other accessories. Just to give you an overall size of this setup right here, right? This is an actual authentic bolt version 2. So you can see the size, pretty similar to most other mechanical mods, right? Even with the so-called MOSFET switch. Let's keep it short and simple. Let's start with the pricing for this thing, for this clone, right? So obviously the authentic SVA Punto Zero, this is probably a clone of the earlier versions. I've seen many other versions out there. More or less they look the same, but the engraving at the back is always different. And of course you have the black Delrin version, you also have the white Delrin version, right? So just the mod itself is about 40 bucks from what I can see. The mod itself is 40 bucks. The replacement bottles are about $3. And if you get it together with the Soul RDA, it is 58 bucks. 58 bucks, man. These cloners are not kidding nowadays. They want you to believe, although it's not the authentic, it's a really good device. It's not. I mean, okay, let's start with the external parts of it. So externally, it's built pretty well. I have to say that externally it's built pretty well. The rounded edges, very good job. The engraving is pretty deep as well. It says SVA.0 right here. The white Delrin, I do see a line on the white Delrin. It's very hard for me to show you because it's white and it reflects light. And there is a line there, slightly lighter color line that you can see goes all around the mod. And then you also have some glue that you can see where the MOSFET switch, double MOSFET switch is. So this carbon piece, actually they just glued it onto the mod. And I do plan to remove it once I've used this for a while. I will try to remove the carbon panel, the front carbon panel, and show you what's actually inside. I did try, but this is super strong glue. You can see a scratch there, right? So it looks like I'll have to end up destroying the front plate if I want to take it out. So externally, it's done pretty well. The so-called MOSFET or double MOSFET button, I wouldn't really know until I remove the front panel, but let's call it a MOSFET, which is a simple switch that actually helps you to make the connection, and so you have less maintenance to worry about, and of course it gives you a much better feel. You just need to press the button. Very easy to press, and also because of that, the buttons can be really small. So it's like a regulated mod button on a mechanical mod. Some people call it a semi-mech. I don't know. But internally, as you saw, there's just glue marks everywhere. I'm not everywhere where it's supposed to be, of course, but excessive glue if you ask me. The soldering and stuff is okay. The bottle is also okay. Now, correction, you can fit other bottles in there. The problem is with the bottle caps. Let me show you what I mean. So this bottle right here, right, it fits, okay? It fits, and the cap is just about the right size, does not get in the way of the MOSFET switch area. Now this one, exact same capacity as well, but the cap is too large. It's too large, so if you try to push it in, there's just no room, right? So you can find a different bottle. The bottle is not the best, not the worst either. Now internally, otherwise, you know, it's just lots of glue here and there, but it's not that bad, right? So outside build quality is definitely better than the inside for the YTFK SVA Punto Zero style mod. But some things I don't like. I don't like them copying the packaging, especially don't like them putting in a fake business card in there. I don't think it's just not cool, okay? It's just not cool. You've already cloned someone's stuff. You don't need to clone the identity as well. So stop doing that. Stop doing that, YTFK. Stop doing that. You don't want to put in someone's name and email address on clone stuff of their authentic products. So can you imagine if someone actually contacted them through the email address? That's why I blacked it out. Contacted them through the email address after buying your clone stuff and asked them about issues. You know, it just sucks. As for the sole RDA itself, the machining build quality on it is excellent. Not as good as the authentic, because I actually have the authentic. Not as good as the authentic, but almost there. I had no problems with the screws, the threading of the screws, no problem. The cap gets a bit warm, a bit hot, depends on if you chain vape and what kind of build you have in here, but the authentic is the same way as well, and that's why they have lots of different cap options. Now the authentic is a limited production. I think the production is going to run out soon, right? So as I said in the close-ups, if you're looking for the authentic, you really have to get it from different Facebook groups, get it off a flipper or someone who's used it for a while and selling it off. Now the vape that I get from this setup, it is not really the hardest hitting vape, right? Not really the hardest hitting vape. You know, the build I have here comes up to about 0.16, 0.17 ohm. I should be getting more power out of it than this. From what I remember using my other mechanical mod and even the Bolt version 2 mod that I show you, I do think that it hits harder. Could be because of the switch. I am not 100% sure, okay? It could be because of the switch. But I would really only know once I decide to peel off the panel and destroy that part of the mod and show you what's inside. And if I do decide to do that, I will do it on Facebook, on a Facebook post. So do make sure that you're following me on Facebook. The flavor that I get from the Sole RDA is good. Squonking is not so easy because of the bottle. Actually, you know, I kind of got used to the super soft silicone bottles. This is how the squonk bottles I had initially was about the same as well. And you have to keep in mind that the bottle is really squeezed, right? No room at all for it to expand, so that's why pressing it is going to be a little harder. As I said, if you can find silicone bottles that will fit into here, you can replace the bottles and solve that part of the issue. So it is a clone highly priced clone. I'm not going to tell you if you should get it or shouldn't get it. If you're curious about stuff like this, you know, then there's not really much other, there's no other option actually for a mechanical, semi-mechanical squonk mod with a MOSFET kind of switch. No options. It's either the authentic, which costs about 300 euros, I think 300 euros, or this one. If you're looking for a squonk mod, a regulated squonk mod, there are many options out there, right? I do have a list. You can check below this video in the description box, a list to many different squonk mods, authentics, DNA 75 that you can buy. So I'm not going to tell you if you should get it or not. It's really up to you. I'll just show you what I have and let you decide. Okie dokie, no more smoky.
Wow.